Section B. The following resource relate to Question 6. Bridging the Development Gap. East African Development. Introduction. Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda are located in East Africa. See Figure 1. These developing countries were all United Kingdom colonies in the past. Independence for Kenya came in 1963, for Uganda 1962, Tanganyika in 1961 and Zanzibar in 1963, the latter two merging to form Tanzania in 1964. The physical geography of the region is dominated by the East African Rift Valley. The western arm of the rift has the Rwenzori Mountains at its edge, and Lakes Albert, Tanganyika and Nyasa trace the line of the rift south to Malawi. The eastern arm of the rift bisects the Kenyan highlands. Between the two rift arms lies Lake Victoria, where the national boundaries of Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda intersect. Kampala and Nairobi sit almost on the equator, both at a height of over 1,000 metres. Development progress. The region has made some progress in development terms, as shown by levels of Human Development Index since 1990. See Figure 2. Figure 3 shows data for selected development indicators for the three countries. Progress in relation to selected Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, is shown in Figure 4. The structure of the economy in the countries has changed since 1990, as shown in Figure 5. And Figure 6 shows the top three imports and exports for the three countries. Tanzania and Uganda have participated in the Heavily Indebted Poor Countries Initiative, as the HIPC initiative, which was started by the World Bank and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Kenya has not yet qualified for HIPC relief, as its external debt is considered sustainable. See Figure 7. As with many African countries, national borders in this region often do not match up with ethnic and tribal geographical areas, a legacy of the colonial era. See Figure 8. This factor has contributed to the long history of conflict, unrest and refugee crisis in the region. In 2007 and 2008, disputed presidential election in Kenya led to widespread civil unrest, up to 800 deaths and the displacement of up to 600,000 people. Violent clashes had an ethnic dimension, especially in the Kikuyu region. The ongoing conflict in Somalia combined with severe drought in 2011 to precipitate a refugee crisis when up to 400,000 Somalis moved across the border into northern Kenya. The Lord's Resistance Army have been involved in a guerrilla conflict in northern Uganda since 1987, which has at times involved Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Central African Republic. The conflict has a significant ethnic dimension. Uganda and Tanzania fought a war in 1978 to 1979, and following this, the Ugandan Bush War, a civil conflict, raged from 1981 to 1986. Within the wider region, Uganda was involved in the devastating Rwandan Civil War in 1990 to 1993, and many countries have been drawn into conflicts in the Democratic Republic of Congo since 1996. Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania scored poorly on measures of governance. Figure 9 shows their rankings on the Ibrahim Index of African Governance, which was set up in 2006 to measure governance and promote better standards of leadership. Figure 10 shows the results of the Corruption Perception Index. The Democracy Index from the Economist Development Unit measures democratic governance on the basis of whether elections are free and fair, the security of voters, the influence of foreign powers on government and the capability of civil servants to implement policy. See Figure 11. This part of East Africa has not escaped terror attacks. In 1998, simultaneous bomb attacks destroyed the USA embassies in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam, blamed on Al-Qaeda. In 2010, bomb attacks on Kampala killed over 70 people, blamed on Al-Shabaab. In addition, the ongoing threats of piracy and general lawlessness in Somalia are a major regional concern. The East African Community, EAC. The EAC, Intergovernmental Organisation, was set up in 1967 to promote regional economic integration. The organisation collapsed in 1977 due to political and ideological divisions between member states, especially following the military coup of Idi Amin in Uganda in 1971. In the late 1990s, the idea of the EAC was revived and it was relaunched in 2000, see Figure 12. By 2010, the EAC had common import tariffs for non-member countries, free trade between member states, shared customs procedures, a legislative assembly based in Arusha in Tanzania. Like the EU, member states contribute to a shared budget for the EAC. In September 2011, only 23% of member states' payments for 2011 and 2012 had been made. There are further proposals to create the East African Federation, the EAF, in the future, which would deepen the community's ties by putting in place a shared currency, the East African shilling, a federation of states with Arusha in Tanzania as its capital, a single tourist visa, and possible expansion to include South Sudan and other states. The LAPSSET project, the Lamu Port and Lamu Southern Sudan Ethiopia Transport Corridor, or LAPSET project. The idea of developing a port in Lamu, Kenya, dates back to the 1970s. Currently, the port development forms part of the LAPSET project, that's the Lamu Port and Lamu Southern Sudan Ethiopia Transport Corridor, which is a major infrastructure project and forms part of the Kenya Vision 2030 economic policy. LAPSET's key proposals are a 1,730 kilometre rail, road and oil pipeline corridor linking Lamu to Juba in southern Sudan, see Figure 13. A rail branch to Nairobi from Isiolo, and a further rail and oil pipeline branch to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. A 120,000 barrels per day oil refinery in Lamu, up to 3 new international airports at Isiolo, Lamu and Lekki-Chogio, up to 32 new port berths at Lamu to handle ships up to 100,000 tonnes, and the development of tourist resorts in Lamu, Isiolo and Lake Turkana. Costs for the whole LAPSET project are not clear, but have been estimated at between $16 billion and $25 billion. Parts of the project were scheduled to begin in 2012, and large parts could be completed by 2018 if funding can be found. South Sudan has expressed interest in helping fund the pipeline from Juba to Lamu, and the Chinese government and Chinese companies have also expressed interest. In Lamu, concerns have been expressed about development of the port and other infrastructure in terms of the environmental impact on coral reefs and mangroves. There might be further impacts during construction, such as a large increase in Lamu's population. Local people are concerned that their land rights may be ignored, especially as land tenure is often not documented. Here are 6 views from different key players. View 1. The problem is not that international trade is inherently opposed to the needs and interests of the poor, but that the rules that govern it are rigged in favour of the rich. That's from Trevor Manuel, Finance Minister in South Africa. View 2. On account of a host of factors, including low productivity, a lack of competitiveness, poor market access, falling terms of trade and restrictive trade regimes, Africa's relative market share in world exports has been declining for decades according to the World Bank. from Milton A. Ioha, African Development Bank. View 3 from The Guardian, 2012. The kidnapping of Britain, Judith Tebbert, and the murder of her husband David in a luxury resort on Kenya's Indian Ocean coast turned what should have been the holiday of a lifetime into a nightmare. It also dealt a severe blow to the tourism industry that just a year before was basking in renewed interest after the engagement of Prince William and Kate Middleton in a rustic lodge near Mount Kenya. View 4 from Greg Mills Cato Institute 2010. Many reasons have been put forward for the region's slow development: a lack of human and government capacity, poor infrastructure and trade access, the effects of too little or too much foreign aid, the legacy of arbitrary colonial boundaries, low productivity, the Cold War, climate and geography. View 5. Africa is not poor, Africa is just poorly managed, from Kenyan architect Mumo Museva in 2009. View 6 is from the East African newspaper in September 2011. In the case of Kenya's coastal area, even comparatively modest set-piece projects, like the Ngomeni fish farming project and a World Bank-funded cold storage facility in Lamu, all flopped. The legacy of mismanagement, corruption, land grabbing and disillusionment is now driving local communities to reassess. Lapset may look like a gift horse, but viewed against this background, it is really a Pandora's box. Further websites to investigate are www.eac.int, that's the website of the EAC, the Kenyan Government Vision for 2030 website at www.vision2030.go.ke, and the website of the Save Lamu Coalition at www.savelamu.org/issues/Lamu-port. If you need any further details, please come and see your teacher, Mr. Crawford, Mr. Pritchard, or Mr. Davis.